and in the inlet temperature, so the colder the depths of the ocean, have fascinated humans for ages. We have traveled the blue horizons in search of new civilizations and adventures since the beginning of time. It goes without saying that the waters of the Earth are undoubtedly huge and enigmatic. On Earth, 98% of the space is occupied by water. As a result, it is not surprising that when people have explored them, they have discovered some pretty bizarre things. Well, this time around, the Navy, in conjunction with the tech genius Elon Musk, have discovered something so terrifying they just had to share it with the rest of us. What oddities have the Navy deep sea divers discovered in the ocean? What plans does Elon Musk have in store for this discovery? Join us as we explore how Elon Musk tells us what the Navy saw while diving in the ocean. The global ocean, a significant saltwater body, covers more than 70% of the Earth's surface: the Great Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic Oceans. However, are the four primary oceans that scientists have categorically separated the body of water into. Recently, a fifth was added. National Geographic acknowledged the fifth ocean on June 8, 2021, known as the Southern Ocean, which encircles Antarctica. Scientists still don't know how many marine species there are in the oceans. There are currently about 226,000 recognized ocean species. Many ocean species, according to some, are in decline because of the harm that marine ecosystems are taking from pollution, warming seas, and other problems. Despite this, scientists continue to uncover new living species, and it is thought that between a few 100,000 and a few million more have yet to be identified. Even more, we have even managed to discover some of their enigmatic undersea structures, including the Bermuda Triangle and the Mariana Trench, the Earth's deepest location at 7 miles. Additionally, let's not forget the finding of entire drowned towns, such as the 5,000-year-old Greek city of Palvapetri, which may have been buried around 1000 BC. Even better, oceans have become a fantastic source of knowledge on the development of the animal kingdom over the past few decades. Ocean exploration has shown that life on Earth has altered significantly since it first started, evolving from the largest shark to ever exist, the prehistoric megalodon, through the contemporary tube worms of the harsh deep sea environment. The Arctic is surrounded by and flows beneath the Arctic Ocean, which is the northernmost body of water on Earth. Despite being the smallest ocean in the world with a surface area of roughly 5.4 million square miles, it nevertheless makes up 4% of the surface of the planet and is 1.5 times bigger than the United States. The Arctic Ocean is the shallowest and least salty of the 5 ocean basins, with an average depth of 3,953 feet and a maximum depth of 18,264 feet. This is mostly because of the area's low rate of evaporation and significant inflow of fresh water from glacier and rivers. The Arctic Ocean has a thriving marine ecology because of the interaction of river mouths carving glacier and continually churning ocean currents. Even though the Arctic Ocean is mostly covered in ice throughout the year, climate change is having a big impact on it. The extent and thickness of the Arctic sea ice have been decreasing as global temperatures have been rising, in addition to raising concerns about the effects on the environment and potential geopolitical tensions. This has sparked interest in prospective economic prospects, including new shipping routes and access to unexplored natural resources. Phytoplankton, which is the base of the food web, sustains the Arctic marine ecology. Despite the extreme conditions under the ice, these tiny plants develop and photosynthesize, turning light and nutrients into organic chemicals. The length of the phytoplankton bloom period is determined by the sunshine and nutrient availability, both of which are subject to seasonal changes. And ice-covered giant sponges that were growing on the tops of long-extinct underwater volcanoes were discovered 2 years ago deep beneath the perpetually ice-covered Arctic Ocean. The fossilized bones of prehistoric animals are what these Arctic sponges of the order Geodea eat in order to survive the nutrient-poor circumstances. Researchers have discovered this is a unique ecosystem, says On Shaboshes, a marine biologist at the Max Planck Institute for Marine Microbiology and the Alfred Wegener Institute in Germany. His sinking out of the sunlit zone, and so you're sinking through all blue colors. We have never seen anything like it before. In the high central Arctic, served as the chief scientist of the Polar Stern icebreaker research vessel in 2016, which also just made the massive Antarctic ice Fish nest discovery. On the Arctic expedition, they towed camera equipment to explore the sea floor at Langseth Ridge, an underwater mountain range with depths between 700 and 1,000 meters not far from the North Pole. Their photos showed incredibly rich and densely populated underwater habitats on top of extinct volcanoes. This discovery was fascinating. Scientists previously understood that sponges are common and successful in oceans all across the world, from shallow tropical reefs to icy Antarctic waters. They typically feed by filtering food from the surrounding sea water, allowing them to consume nutrient-rich particles, but it's challenging to live in the Arctic Ocean due to the fact that this area of the ocean has been covered in ice for many years. There isn't much food that drifts from the surface to the depths where these geodia sponges thrive. So how do the sponges live? To determine the age and feeding habits of the sponges to raise a Morgantia sponge, expert from the Max Planck Institute for Marine Microbiology and a co-author of the study examined photographs and sponge tissue samples. It turns out that the sponges have robust bacterial populations inside of them and have been around for 300 years on average. According to Morganti's explanation, our analysis showed that the sponges have microbial symbionts that can use old organic matter. This enables them to feed on the remains of once present but now extinct inhabitants of the seamount, such as the protein and chitin rich worm tubes and other debris that has been trapped. Many different types of sponges are home to a population of microbes that can transport nutrients from the surrounding water to the sponges, dispose of excretions, and create antibiotics to keep the sponges healthy. According to research by Morganti and colleagues, these Arctic sponges can consume organic substances trapped in the mat on which they live instead of consuming seawater as their primary source of nutrition. The biosphere from long ago is still present in this mat. Gases from volcanic systems beneath the sea floor sustained a considerably richer environment which was home to a variety of species thousands of years ago. Since then, a lot of stuff has vanished, leaving these surprising sponge gardens. By employing enzymes to break down the fossilized remains of the vanished ecosystem and transfer nutrients to their sponge host, the microbes on the sponges may effectively utilize the fossilized remains. According to microbial study, the toolkit the bacteria have is ideal for this environment. The refractory particulate and dissolved organic materials can be used by the bacteria as a source of carbon and nitrogen, as well as a variety of chemical energy sources. According to Elon Musk and other scientists, this kind of research is essential as the climate changes and the Arctic sea ice rapidly decreases. For the purpose of preserving and managing the distinctive diversity of these under-pressure Arctic seas, a deeper understanding of hotspot ecosystems is needed. On the other hand, researchers supported by NASA have discovered an enormous algal bloom that is thriving beneath the thick ice of the Arctic, fundamentally changing our knowledge of the region's ecosystems. Think about coming into a rainforest in the middle of a desert. That is how the new biological finding in the Arctic Ocean is being compared by NASA scientists. Under the diminishing Arctic ice, little plants called phytoplankton are actively growing. In fact, according to the researchers, the Arctic may currently have a greater phytoplankton growth than any other ocean location on the planet. The discovery exposes a brand new impact of the Arctic's warming temperature and provides researchers with a critical understanding of how climate change and environmental changes affect the Arctic Ocean and its ecology. To investigate how environmental variability and change in the Arctic affect ocean biology, ecology, and biogeochemistry, researchers bore through 3 feet of sea ice. The scientists discovered that the phytoplankton were very active, multiplying more than once daily. Blooms in open waters, on the other hand, develop much more slowly, doubling in size after 2 to 3 days. These growth rates are among the highest polar water measurements yet made in the Arctic Ocean. Phytoplankton was considered to only begin to bloom after the summer sea ice retreat from the edge of the sea ice to 72 miles inside the ice pack. The researchers saw blooms under the ice. Ocean current data showed that these blooms did not travel from the open ocean, where phytoplankton concentrations can be high, but rather grew under the ice. It was once believed that sea ice prevented the majority of sunlight required for phytoplankton growth. Scientists now believe that the Arctic ice is receding, allowing sunshine to penetrate the waters beneath the sea ice, causing plant blooms where none previously existed. The base of the marine food chain is phytoplankton, which also absorbs a lot of carbon dioxide. If the under-ice blooms turn out to be frequent, scientists will need to re-evaluate the amount of carbon dioxide released by biological activity into the Arctic Ocean. Whether these abundant phytoplankton blooms have been occurring in the Arctic for a long time and we haven't noticed them yet is unknown at this moment. But if the Arctic sea ice cover keeps thinning, these blooms might extend farther in the future. The finding of these hitherto unidentified under-ice blooms has repercussions for the larger Arctic ecosystem, which includes migratory animals like whales and birds. Small ocean animals consume phytoplankton, which is then consumed by larger fish and ocean creatures. Larger animals that consume phytoplankton or the species that eat these microorganisms may be adversely affected by a shift in the timing of the blooms. It can become more challenging for migratory species to plan their life cycles such that they are in the Arctic during the peak of the bloom. They might be missing the boat if their food supply arrives earlier. The discovery, according to the researchers, may also have significant effects on the global carbon cycle and the energy balance of the oceans, and they may need to alter their theories about the ecology of the Arctic and its place in the Earth system. Furthermore, scientists are now worried about the effects of plastic pollution on human health and marine life after discovering a record amount of plastic trapped in Arctic sea ice. In core samples taken from 5 regions on travels to the Arctic Ocean, up to 12,000 bits of microplastic particles were discovered per liter of sea ice, up to 3 times greater than levels in prior research. In every sample they collected in 2014 and 2015, scientists from the Alfred Wegener Institute's Helmholtz Center for Polar and Marine Research, AWI, discovered shards of packaging, paints, nylon, polyester, and cellulose acetate, which is frequently used to make cigarette filters. The discoveries coincide with growing worry about the extent of plastic pollution, which experts have warned might lead to the planet's near-permanent contamination. The Arctic is a significant global sink for plastic pollution and is several times more concentrated than the well-known vast Pacific garbage patch, according to a previous study. It is believed that at least 1 trillion pieces of plastic have been frozen into the Arctic ice during the past decades. But according to Dr. Gunnar Goetz, whose laboratory conducted the measurements, his research revealed that the issue was significantly worse because some of the particles were only 11 micrometers in size. That's roughly 1/6 the diameter of a human hair, and also explains why we found concentrations of more than 12,000 particles per liter of sea ice, which is 2 to 3 times higher than what we'd found in past measurements. In addition to discovering a record amount of plastic, the study was able to pinpoint its possible origins, which ranged from fishing gear that had deteriorated to plastic pollution that had flown thousands of kilometers on ocean currents. The high levels of microplastic in the sea ice cannot exclusively be linked to sources outside the Arctic Ocean, according to Dr. Ilka Pekan, one of the study's authors. Instead, they highlight regional smog in the Arctic, The experts cautioned that it was uncertain what effects this level of plastic pollution might have on human health and marine life. With an estimated 5 trillion pieces of plastic floating in the world's oceans, marine plastic pollution is a major issue. Fish and birds frequently mistake the plastic for food, harming marine life and getting into the human food chain. In one place where the vast garbage patch in the Pacific Ocean is considered to have originated, the new investigation discovered record levels of polyethylene. In another, it discovered large concentrations of nylon and paint particles, which suggested increasing shipping and fishing. The study also discovered that a substantial mechanism for moving plastic particles around the region has developed as a result of the amount of plastic that is currently held in Arctic sea ice, which moves and melts. It implies that microplastics are currently pervasive in the ocean's surface waters. No place is safe. On the other hand, Antarctica has caught our attention for many years. From the intrepid scientists of today to the famous first explorers of the 1800s, we have been enthralled by the treasures hidden within Antarctica's frozen plains. Antarctica is cloaked in mystery as the last untouched wilderness on Earth and is excellent at retaining its secrets because it is a place of extremes. Antarctica is uninhabitable for people due to the harsh weather, sub-freezing temperatures, and desolate terrain. The ice-covered continent, which makes up 90% of the ice on Earth, is nearly 1.5 times the size of the United States and is entirely covered in ice. In spite of this, researchers have continued to explore the Great White Continent, unraveling its most intriguing mysteries. Even though it's hard to picture anything beneath Antarctica's huge glacier, researchers have found a number of subsurface lakes. There are thought to be 400 lakes buried beneath 3 kilometers of ice in the locations that were studied, which radars first discovered in 1970. The lakes, according to scientists, are the result of Antarctica's breakup from the once supercontinent Gondwana land. The pressure from the ice sheet's weight prevents the lakes from freezing. The largest subglacial lake in Antarctica is Lake Vostok, which Russian scientists first learned about in the 1990s. Located 3.5 kilometers beneath the ice, it is also the third largest lake in the world in terms of volume. Even though the lake was covered by ice more than 20 million years ago, scientists have subsequently bored deep holes into the ice to extract samples of the water. One sample revealed the temperature to be about -3 degrees Celsius. In addition, at Lake Willins, about a kilometer beneath the ice sheet, researchers made a significant discovery in 2014 that changed the course of science. These amazing creatures thrive despite not having access to sunshine or clean air for millions of years. Instead, they use the energy provided by methane and ammonia to grow. There are germs, crabs, enormous squid, long lanky spiders the size of dinner plates, and huge golden bristled sharp-jawed worms. There are even transparent ice fish. These bizarre beings have huge eyes and translucent skin that reveal their interior organs. The fish cannot survive in warmer waters because they have antifreeze glycoproteins. Additionally, they lack hemoglobin, a substance that gives our blood its red color. There are also a ton of Cretaceous era dinosaur, avian, and marine mammal fossils that have been discovered by scientists. Among the smaller species, they found microscopic single-celled fossils that have sparked intense dispute among experts, as well as the fossilized forewings of a species of beetle that existed between 14 and 20 million years ago in a warmer climate. In the egg case of a long-extinct species of worm, they also discovered sperm cells that were 50 million years old, an astounding discovery that researchers think will reveal new details about evolution. Unexpectedly, a sizable piece of ice in Antarctica was found to be singing. The Ross Ice Shelf is Antarctica's biggest ice shelf. It spans an area of more than 500,000 square kilometers, roughly the size of France, and is several hundred meters thick. Recent research has revealed that the Ross Ice Shelf sings a sinister tune as a result of winds moving across the snow dunes. Surface tremors and practically constant seismic tones are produced by the winds. Scientists employ seismic sensors to hear the samba melody because the vibrations aren't detectable to human ears. After seismic sensors were deployed on the ice shelf to monitor other behaviors, the song was unintentionally discovered. Since then, researchers have shown that the song varies in reaction to environmental factors like snowstorms or melting. They are currently studying the ice shelf stability and susceptibility to collapse through seismic humming, utilizing the song as a tool to monitor it in real time. Where no one has gone before, deep below Antarctica's surface, mystery still abounds. The Great White Continent is the most puzzling and mysterious region on the planet. And despite the tireless efforts of researchers everywhere, We may never fully understand all of its mysteries. Thanks for watching another episode of Why You're Still Here. Make sure to click the video on your screen for more mind-blowing videos about space.